24 years old male is a fashion designer student, Keralite, studying in New Delhi. Complaints of fever on and off for the past 2 months, episodic diarrhea for the past 2 months, and significant weight loss for the
Okay,
past 2 months.
okay.
History of
So when you have this type of patient, a person who is living outside the state, coming with these complaints, possibilities in your mind.
um, hello, sir.
Couple of things must come to your mind when you have got these complaints now, before you go
Yes, sir.
further.
It's the patient is having diarrhea. It's chronic.
Right? So possibilities in your mind.
The possibilities of chronic diarrhea, starting from chronic infections, um, uh, or other symptoms, inflammatory diseases like inflammatory bowel disease, um, then intestinal TB.
That's good. That's good. So carry on. Histopresent illness.
It is insidious onset, fever with tremulousness, non-bloody watery diarrhea, and painless, no mucus or undigested food particles, feels very anxious, worried and occasionally with palpitation and fear-like, no contact with TB, no exposure or addictions, room is not known to have any illness. Review, worried, palpitations and anxious, eats well, is a non-vegetarian, parents diabetic with dyslipidemia, not on any drugs other than for diarrhea and fever, occasionally antibiotics also.
So what are the possibilities that comes to your mind now? You got all the history. That's all what you have. His parents are diabetic, dyslipidemic, no TB in the roommate. So we don't have any such history available. He's a young man living away from home. He's coming to weight loss, significant weight loss with fever and diarrhea. A couple of possibilities must be thought of. Then we'll go to the examination.
Yes, it can be HIV since there is significant weight loss or any chronic infections,
Like
inflammatory TB or
TB is the possibility.
entamoeba histolytica infection.
Endemic histolytic infection basically do not produce fever unless it affects the liver, producing liver abscess. Otherwise, only diarrhea with blood and mucus. Usually, it's not very chronic also. Okay. Other possibilities.
Malaria.
Malaria can produce diarrhea, but only in the acute episode. Like falciparum can produce, but not last for 2 months. Possibility is very much there.
Features suggestive of thyrotoxicosis.
Thyrotoxicosis can be there. Can it produce fever?
Yes, sir.
It can. Any other possibility that comes to your mind? Okay, so we have a couple of possibilities here. So, can this be simple irritable bowel syndrome? Young man.
Yes, can be, but usually present in females.
Usually females in females, but males are not exempted. You can have.
Okay, sir.
Okay, what about antibiotic-induced diarrhea? Use antibiotics very frequently.
Antibiotic, but lasting for 2 months.
2 months, okay. Retrovirus infection you already mentioned. Tuberculosis you already mentioned. Malabsorption status, do you consider that possibility?
There is no undigested food particles. So
That's okay, but all types of malabsorption need not produce undigested food particles in the stools. It's not absorbed, that's all. And thyrotoxicosis you already mentioned. So, what is irritable bowel syndrome?
irritable bowel syndrome. There are many factors like it is a functional disorder. Maybe due to alteration in the intestinal microbiota or due to overgrowth or due to irritation to certain food maps, their presence diarrhea.
So, how to diagnose irritable bowel syndrome?
There will be episodic constipation with diarrhea.
Yes. So, is there any criteria for diagnosing?
Yes, Rome 3 criteria.
Rome 4 criteria. It says that there should not be any biological disease marker, and of course, symptoms based criteria is there. Symptoms based criteria related to one criteria is related to defecation, second criteria is related to the stool consistency or stool frequency, and markers of other significant diseases like calprotectin, stool lactoferrin, CRP. You do the test for celiac disease. Everything should be negative. Then you can think about irritable bowel syndrome. What are the 4 different patterns of irritable bowel syndrome types?
Um, uh, uh, Diarrhea predominant, constipation
Predominant
predominant.
constipation is the commonest. Predominant constipation, predominant diarrhea, diarrhea alternating the constipation, and then irritable bowel syndrome just got a unclassified variety. Unclassified variety. Now, when you make a diagnosis of irritable bowel syndrome, commonly they are very young. What are the peculiar features of diarrhea of irritable bowel syndrome?
They rarely have nocturnal symptoms and low
That's
volumes.
very good. Nocturnal diarrhea is absent. It's a daytime, early morning diarrhea before they go to office. What about weight loss?
There won't be significant weight loss
There not
because
many.
low volume.
There is no weight loss at all. What is the next common complaint with them?
Behavioral and psychosocial factors.
They present with abdominal pain, with or without tenesmus. So abdominal pain, constipation or diarrhea is the usual presentation, and it comes in the morning hours, and then they are okay. Okay, that's how you diagnose and you suspect when there is diarrhea in very young people. Okay, so it's diagnosed by exclusion. Tell me something about antibiotic induced diarrhea.
Antibiotic.
Which all, can name one antibiotic well known to produce diarrhea? Say again.
NSAIDs, metformin.
Metformin can produce diarrhea. But commonest is amoxicillin, ampicillin. Ampicillin, classical example. NSAID is not an antibiotic, is it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
It's an ampicillin. Is the commonest one. What are the mechanisms by which antibiotic produce diarrhea? Can there be any superinfection?
Yes, sir.
With which organ? Yes.
Clostridium.
Clostridium. How will you diagnose Clostridium? Can you check the antigens in the stools? And how will you treat antibiotic induced diarrhea? Do you give prophylactic probiotic?
Probiotics.
How does retrovirus produce? You said retrovirus as possibility. How does retrovirus produce diarrhea?
Immunodeficiency. Opportunistic infection.
Opportunistic infection. Can you name a few organisms which are possibly opportunistic?
Giardia. Isosporabelli.
Isosporabelli is very good. Cryptosporidium parvus. What should be the CD4 count below which you get a Cryptosporidium infection? Less than 180. 180. And enteroaggressive type of Escherichia coli. Mycobacteria avium complex can also produce problem. And retroviruses are known to have direct involvement of the plexus of the intestines. that can also produce diarrhea. How do you treat cryptosporidium? Is there any specific treatment? Can you try cotrimoxazole? Plenty of fluids. That's all what is required. Don't give anything aggressive. How to treat strong LODs? Strong LOD is a common accompaniment of immune deficient state. How do you treat strong LOD? What's the drug of choice? Have you heard drug called thiabendazole?
Yes,
Yes. So can something other than infection be involved in retrovirus diseases? Other than infection, can retrovirus produce involvement of?
lymphoma.
That's a malignancy. So lymphoma or Kaposi sarcoma can create problems. And the drugs used for retrovirus can also produce diarrhea. So think broadly and you may get the diagnosis. What about tuberculosis? What are the gastrointestinal presentations of tuberculosis? How does tuberculosis present in the?
Yes. Gastrointestinal diarrhea, then abdominal pain, blood in stools with fistulas in the perianal area, ascites.
So it affects the peritoneum. It presents as ascites. If it produces mucosa in the form of ulcerations, you get diarrhea. But if it's a hyperplastic variety around the lymphoid Peyer's patches, you get a mass in the abdomen, episodic obstructions, malabsorption status, and if you are having involvement of the lymph nodes, mesenteric lymphadenopathy, you may have abdominal pain as the presentation. So we have got couple of differential diagnoses to offer in your patient. Now, what all things you want to examine this patient with the history of differential diagnosis you offered? You already offered some differential diagnosis. So tell me, based upon that, how do you proceed? What all things you want to examine particularly in this patient? You give your pallor. Pallor is not there. No jaundice, no clubbing, no lymphadenopathy, no cyanosis, no edema.
Then thyroid swellings.
He has got a just palpable non-tender thyroid swelling.
Then eye signs.
Absolutely absent.
Then any other features of thyrotoxicosis?
What features you want to look for thyrotoxicosis?
Tachycardia.
Yes, he has got 120. He's an apprehensive person. So what other cause of tachycardia is there in apprehensive patient?
Dehydration.
Can anxiety produce?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it can produce. So in a patient, this type palpitation, tachycardia, how do you differentiate anxiety from thyrotoxicosis?
Wet hands. It will be
both in condition will be. Which condition produces wet hands?
Both will be having wet hands.
So how does it help you then?
It will be cold in anxiety and moist in thyrotoxicosis.
Cold in anxiety and moist in thyrotoxicosis. When your palm becomes moist, it will become warm or cold?
It will be warm.
Warm, eh? So moistness produces warm.
Yes, sir, cold.
So in thyrotoxicosis, palm will be warm, anxiety will be cold. That what is correct. Okay. And both will have tremor. Both will have tachycardia. What else you want to see? You said inflammatory bowel disease, so erythema nodosum, pyoderma gangrenosum, arthritis, retrovirus infection, general examination, what all things? Fungus infection, viral infection, herpes zoster, warts of different types. Okay. So whatever you said you had to look for those things. And these are the findings. What do you think? What, note now.
Then any other skin lesions, any
No,
signs of pulmonary
no, no,
tuberculosis,
no. Chest is clear.
whether the patient is severely dehydrated.
Is not. Is not. So can you make out anything now? Any differential diagnosis? Can you narrow down differential diagnosis or increase the number of differential diagnoses?
Um,
What do you think about BMI 16?
Low BMI,
Low BMI. And what do you think about the blood pressure 142 by 70?
increased,
Means what? Is he hypertensive?
yes sir,
So he is having wide pulse pressure. And because of systolic elevation of systolic blood pressure. So his systolic BP is high, diastolic is not. The temperature, what is your opinion? Temperature, please. Is he having fever?
hello sir, yes sir, he's febrile,
System examination. This is what the findings we got.
hello,
You tell your impression or any other.
sir, so I can't hear you.
Any other impression you have? Can you hear me now?
Yes sir, yes sir.
Then tell. Do you have any other differential diagnosis to offer now after seeing the system examination?
Um,
Is it all normal or abnormal? Possibilities. So you got all the investigation, examination findings with you, general examination, system examination. So you have given a lot of differential diagnosis. Now it is the time to narrow down. You said tuberculosis, inflammatory bowel disease, infections, retrovirus, thyroid disease, and something else is mentioned. So what possibilities are narrowing down now?
Maybe some chronic infection.
Chronic infection. Let us see. His thyroid is just palpable, I said. It is non-tender. Would you like to do anything else? One possibility you said was thyrotoxicosis. Would you like to do anything else?
Yes sir, blood examination.
No. Clinical only. We are talking clinical medicine, long case. Would you like to auscultate his thyroid?
Yes sir, bruit,
Where do you look for thyroid?
the upper pole.
Upper pole. Okay. So that was not there. In this case, that was not there. So what? So this is what we have seen. Thyroid is not tender. It is not. It is palpable, but there is no bruit. So
Yes,
now it's the time to make a provisional diagnosis. Provisional diagnosis can go wrong after investigation. Nothing to worry. You can always change your diagnosis. Graves disease. Graves disease. What are the components?
Eye signs will be present.
In this case, eye signs are absent. What else is in Graves disease?
Tachycardia.
Features of toxicity.
Yes sir.
Is it always essential to have toxicity in Graves disease, or can you have euthyroid Graves, hypothyroid Graves?
Maybe.
You can have hypothyroid Graves. You can have euthyroid Graves. and you can have hyperthyroid Graves. Graves can have all the manifestations. It is not essential to have always the toxicity. So Grave has got natural history up and down. So don't worry about the toxicity is present or not. The criteria suggests that there must be uniform enlargement of thyroid gland. Uniform. And you are expecting some changes in the skin, namely peritibial myxedema, and you are expecting eye signs. Both are absent in this case. So, diagnosis is the Graves' disease. He has got features of thyrotoxicosis clinically.
Yes, sir.
But we cannot say it's a Graves' disease. Why is it thyrotoxicosis? Tachycardia,
Fever,
systolic blood pressure has gone up, wide pulse pressure,
palpitation,
palpitation,
anxious.
fidgety, diarrhea. So that is one possibility you have to consider in this patient. So what is the possible etiology of thyrotoxicosis? Okay, before that there are a couple of questions coming. Thyrotoxicosis. What difference between hyperthyroidism and thyrotoxicosis? Are the same.
No, sir.
When toxicity features are present, you call it as thyrotoxicosis. So, when there's excessive synthesis inside the thyroid gland, you call it as hyperthyroidism. Others will be called as thyrotoxicosis. So, thyrotoxicosis divided into hyperthyroidism and thyrotoxicosis. Okay. So, where are you now?
Yes, sir.
What do you think this patient is having? So what are the causes of thyrotoxicosis usually? One you mentioned Graves' disease, other causes? Adenoma, multiple goiter, they are absent.
Thyroid adenoma.
Both are absent here. And he is not taking any thyroid tablets. Hello,
sir?
He is not taking any tablets. He is not taking thyroid tablets. You can hear me.
Sir, maybe yes, sir, multinodular goiter, solitary thyroid.
But this patient has got just palpable, non-tender, smooth goiter. There is no nodule.
Can be iodide induced.
He is not taking any iodide. He has not taken any tablet containing iodine. He is not taking iodine drops.
Thyroiditis.
Thyroiditis is a possibility. Okay, so there are many causes for thyrotoxicosis. Which one you opt in this particular patient?
Thyroiditis.
Why do you say so?
Because he's having fever.
He's having Graves' disease can have fever. No? Any situation where there is excess amount of thyroxine circulating in the body can have fever.
Sir, hello, sir. The
voice. So what investigation you want? What investigation you want? Any other investigation you want? Thyroid function test is done. T3 is very high. T4 is very high. TSH almost undetectable, and the antibodies are negative.
Radioisotope scanning.
Which isotope you want?
123, iodine 123.
How do you interpret the thyroid function test given to you here? What is it suggestive of? When T3 and T4 are high and TSH is suppressed, you think it's a thyrotoxic state.
Primary thyrotoxicosis.
So you think there's a toxicity going on. So what's maybe the cause? You wanted to do the uptake study. But iodine is commonly given for ablation. For uptake study, commonly we give technetium. So investigation purpose, technetium is used. So diagnosis of thyroiditis. Clinically, how do you make out diagnosis of thyroiditis? Usually the history is very short, less than 2 months. Here's only 2 months history, not long. Eye signs will be absent.
Tenderness.
Tenders may or may not be present. And then there may not be any history of fever. There may be history of fever preceding. There may be history of pain in the neck preceding. And there may be evidence of leukocytosis or elevated ESR or C-reactive protein. So that's how you clinically suspect. In comparison to Graves' disease, we find duration is short here.
Yes, sir.
Fever is an important component here. And you find eye signs are totally absent. So short history, absence of eye signs must always make you think, is it thyroiditis? So short duration, no eye signs, tenders may or may not be present, leukocytosis. How will you confirm then? You wanted to do the uptake study. How does uptake study help you to make a diagnosis of thyroiditis?
Radioiodine uptake measures the proportion of isotope that is trapped in the gland.
So if it is trapping is more, what is inference? If trapping is less, what's the inference?
Low uptake and high uptake thyrotoxicosis.
High uptake means synthesis is increased, and no uptake means no uptake means
Thyroiditis.
so why you are getting then the thyrotoxic signs in the periphery? So during inflammation of thyroid gland, whatever thyroxine is synthesized already will be just liberated to the bloodstream quickly and rapidly, producing signs of toxicity. Clear?
Okay, sir.
So what are the signs of toxicity? You said tremor and tachycardia are the two signs of toxicity. That's all. Tremor and tachycardia. Thyroid is T. Tachycardia is T. Tremor is T. Other signs all may or may not be present. But tachycardia and tremor compulsory. Okay. So technetium uptake what study was done, and there is no uptake at all. So you said already it can be thyroiditis. So how do you classify thyroiditis?
Subacute.
Right?
Postpartum.
Postpartum. Yes. Commonly we go by the clinical methods. Painful thyroiditis and painless thyroiditis. If it's a painful thyroiditis, you can say it's subacute thyroiditis. It is usually subacute, granulomatous, non-suppurative, like Dicker veins thyroiditis, subacute and painful. Or it can be infections, suppurative infections. It can be acute or chronic. Yes, it can be radiation induced. 5 to 7 days after the radiation, you can have painful thyroiditis. Inadvertent palpation by medical students or somebody throttling you, trauma, can produce thyroiditis which is painful. Painless thyroiditis, what are the causes? Commonly described as painless silent. That's what's called as lymphocytic type of thyroiditis, subacute lymphocyte thyroiditis. Then one variety is called as postpartum. 1 year, within 1 year after delivery or abortion, you get pain in the neck, is called as postpartum. And we have different types of drugs producing thyroiditis. Can you name few drugs producing thyroiditis?
Amiodarone.
Amiodarone is very good answer. That will come as separate entity. Other drugs, lithium, interferon alpha, interleukin 2, kinase inhibitors, checkpoint inhibitors. So couple of drugs are there. Then we have chronic lymphocytic type of thyroiditis, otherwise called as Hashimoto's. And we have got different types of varieties of Hashimoto's, like peripartum. Postpartum is actually sub classification of Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Maduron thyroiditis is a separate entity, and sometimes you get very hard fibrous type of thyroiditis, which is otherwise called as Riedel's thyroiditis, which produces extensive fibrosis in and around. It can extend to the adjacent tissues, even to the mediastinum, and it can be associated with retroperitoneal or mediastinal fibrosis. So this is how you classify. So the message is very clear. Whenever a patient comes with short duration thyrotoxicosis like picture, don't jump in to treat as thyroid toxicosis. Keep the possibilities. How do you treat thyroiditis? Symptomatic treatment, NSAIDs, and if necessary, short course of steroids may be given. What's the natural history of this disease?
Weight loss with normal or increased appetite, palpitation, tremor, irritability.
They are the clinical features. They are the clinical features. What happened to them after 1 year, 2 years, 10 years? That's natural history. Natural history is sometimes, if it's an autoimmune associated process, it comes and goes. Remissions, relapses, remissions, relapses. Ultimately, it will become hypothyroid status. Okay. So radiation induced may stop by just like that. Infection may stop like that. But sometimes they go for chronic, right? Needles. It goes on. So all depends upon what's the mechanism of thyroiditis, and the natural history is variable. Final diagnosis.
So
thyroiditis. The antibodies were absent. So the learning point is, if you treat this patient as Graves' disease, what are the options for treatment? Antithyroid drugs, surgery, or radioactive ablation. All the three are not indicated in this patient. In this patient, if you go wrong in the diagnosis, your treatment is different, and ultimately you become a chronic hypothyroid patient. On the other hand, some of these patients with the thyroiditis subside by itself, and they don't have any more problems, and they have a normal life. So diagnosis is important. That's why the case is discussed today. Okay. What next you'll do?
Follow-up.
Follow-up has been done. Yes. Now the question is to the JR, who is there to discuss now.
Hello, sir.
Parvati?
Yes, sir. Parvati here.
Parvati, tell me, how will you treat this patient?
Okay, thyroiditis patient, symptomatic treatment should be given. That is for the relieving pain and NSAIDs. And you can also try a short course of steroids like prednisolone.
What is meant by checkpoint inhibitors? He said checkpoint inhibitors can produce thyroiditis. What is it?
Sorry, sir.
So they are a variety of immunotherapy. They target cytotoxic T lymphocytes, associate antigen 4, CTLA4. It is a specific site where it is acting, and programmed apoptosis, cell death receptors are also targeted by this group of drugs producing immunotherapy treatment. Basically, it is done for malignant melanoma, and one of the side effects of this drug is hypophysitis. Another complication is, side effect is thyroiditis. So they can produce problems. So in addition to interferon interleukins, checkpoint inhibitors are also coming up, widely used these days by the oncologist, and subsequently they land us with us as thyrotoxicosis, like presentation of thyroiditis. That must be kept in mind. Now tell few
Okay.
lines about amiodarone-induced thyroiditis.
Okay, sir. Amiodarone is an anti-arrhythmic agent, type 3 anti-arrhythmic agent, and it has certain similarities. That is, it contains iodine.
Iodine, that is
About
called iodorone.
Yeah.
Iodine,
Yes, sir.
yes.
So this treatment with amiodarone can cause an increase in the serum iodine levels. So that can also result in a hypothyroid, induce hypothyroidism. And the problem with amiodarone is that it would be stored in the adipose tissue. So the symptoms may be present for about 6 months, and
Half-life is very long.
very long, yes, sir.
And every 6 months you may check the thyroid function if the patient is on amiodarone. Tell me the other side effects of amiodarone.
Um,
What does it produce in the skin?
bluish discoloration.
Iodine it can induce hypersensitivity reaction, photosensitivity. So the skin may become peculiar pigmented. What happens to their eyes?
Um,
It get deposited in the cornea, so
Yes,
they
sir.
may find it difficult to drive at night because of the glare.
yes, sir.
What happened to lungs?
Fibrous interstitial.
Interstitial fibrosis. And what happened to the liver?
Um, hepatitis. Drug-induced
and
hepatitis.
fibrosis.
Fibrosis.
And fibrosis. So amiodarone is a useful drug, but has a lot of side effects.